up some notes. So I can refer to
those notes as you need them, Craig, and we'll keep that in the edit. Kate and Craig, welcome along to the R.I.S.E podcast. Good to have you both finally.
Thank you very much,
so
Michael. Good to be here.
Pleased to be here.
Been looking forward to it, and I've been aware of you both for some time now, and I thought what I was really looking forward to was unpacking what it takes to live a creative life, because it does take a certain amount of risk and self-belief and courage.
And self-doubt.
And self-doubt and conquering self-doubt. So all those themes are tied into the podcast beautifully. So looking forward to this chat. Before we dive into all of those themes, you've both recently been enjoying some terrific success, particularly with the AACTA Awards here on the Gold Coast in Queensland where we are. So rather than me talk about that, could you give our listeners a bit of an idea of what that means and what it was for both of you?
Yeah. Well, the AACTAs are Australia's top screen awards, if you consider them like Australia's version of the Oscars or the BAFTAs.
Well, that's how we like to see it.
That's how we like to consider it, yeah. And they recognise excellence in the film and television industry. Part of what they provide is what's called the Reg Grundy Award. Reg Grundy was a huge name in Australian television. He created some amazing shows, Neighbours, the whole long list of Sale of the Century, The Price is Right, not only game shows, but there were also dramas in there as well. And Reg passed away a number of years ago, and sadly his wife is no longer with us, but one of the last things that she did was she developed this award, and she curated this award and provided the funds that they supply. It's a $50,000 prize for the Reg Grundy Award, and that is now managed by the Grundy family. And that is for the award goes to an unscripted idea, unscripted television being things like game shows and things like that. And yeah, it was just a huge honour. We had been playing with an idea for a while based around a trivia show.
Because we adore trivia.
We adore trivia. We go to trivia every week, numerous times, multiple times a week. We have very sad lives. And we'd been toying with an idea originally as a scripted format based around a trivia show. It was going to be a comedy. And it's
based on quite a lot of the people that we meet at trivia nights that are just wonderful. And it would be so easy to write as characters.
And the idea sort of evolved into, well, what if we turn this into an actual game show? And then we saw the advertisement, well, Kate saw the advertisement for the Reg Grundy Award on Facebook or something like that. Some
such place.
One of the socials. And she thought, why don't we enter this? So we put together we put together an outline, a pitch deck, all the things that they required, sent that through, and we received an email saying that, congratulations, you've made it into the top 10. And we went, what? It just almost seemed too good to be true.
Yeah.
And the next step after that was they required us to do a video pitch. So we put that together. We managed to secure the Boathouse in Coomera, and they said, yep, we're happy to allow you to use this venue. So we shot something there. We put together the pitch and sent that through, and a couple of weeks later they sent another email through. Congratulations, you've made it into the top 5.
Okay. Then the real hard stuff started.
Yeah, then that was what we call the pucker moment. That happens.
I think we know what that means.
Yeah. So the next step after that was we had to do 5 live pitches in front of the individual judges. And then after that, the final pitch would be as a group one in front of all of the judges. So we developed our pitch a little bit further, and we started doing those individually, and we took a lot of feedback from those judges. They were fantastic.
It was overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
It was.
And the ideas that they came up with, just to sharpen this here and tweak that there. And eventually we came up with the final format of the show. And we pitched that to the 5 judges. It came down to the last 4 contestants. We pitched that to the 5 judges. And, again, a couple of weeks later, we got a call from Ivan at AACTA, and he said, look, don't say anything yet, but congratulations, you won.
Wow.
And that was just incredible. That was a moment of, I guess, validation.
At a moment that we really needed it.
Yeah, we did. We'd been going through some difficult stuff with family and a number of things. And that was just a moment that, really we needed it, didn't we?
Yeah, and you know, when you're writing and you're writing and you're writing and you get those knockbacks and you keep going, well, I'll get back up on my feet, we'll try again, we'll try something different, to actually have something that you got an actor for, which was so sort of the opposite end of the scale to everything else that happened. It was a really good moment, and what has happened is it's propelled us forward with a little bit, just a tad more self-belief. I'd like to say lots more self-belief, but just a little bit, but enough to just carry us forward and carry on the journey.
I think it was Brad Pitt that said, this industry or this game is an endless series of humiliations until one day it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought there seems to be a lot of truth in that, whether it's chasing a career as an actor or a writer, director, producer, whatever it might be. You're obviously great collaborators, creatively and personally, no doubt. Can I just ask, just to go back in time, how was it that you first came across each other and discovered you both had this shared love of creativity, and I guess whether it's in the form of film or writing?
Well, we met through the theatre, and then I got a phone call from a lady who said, could you come along and play Mrs. Claus? And do you know a Santa? And I said, well, actually, yes, I've sort of, with this guy, and I think he'd make a perfect Santa. And so we sort of rocked up to this gig, never having done anything like that before. You'd never played Santa, I'd never played Mrs. Claus.
No, the last thing I ever played was the Scarecrow when I was 18.
Yeah, it was Spider and Cherie Everett. They were doing a thing out at Pimpamar, this big Pimpamar lights.
The Magic of Christmas.
That was it, the Magic of Christmas. So we went out, we went out and bought the costumes, and we did this gig together, and we went, that was really quite fun, wasn't it? I really like working with you, and that sort of led. I was at the time a marriage celebrant and a funeral celebrant, and I said to him, you know, you'd make a great funeral celebrant. You know, people trust you, people like talking to you. He's a real empath. So I managed to eventually persuade him to come and do a poem at one of the funerals I was doing.
After a lot of initial pushback.
Right.
But he took to it instantly. He went, oh, actually, I'd quite like to start doing that. And he started with me. We became, our thing was 2 hearts are better than 1. Yeah. That was our funeral celebrant mantra, wasn't it? And we used to go and do funerals together, and then he was getting far more bookings than I was. And we realised that we were enjoying that writing, which is quite different to what we do now. And we gently started writing The Celebrant based on some of the things that were happening in our lives as we were going along, some of the stories we were picking up, some of the funny stuff that was happening. And we just realised that we loved working together.
Was the Celebrant project the first time you formally kind of married your skills into something that was very cohesive?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we weren't brave enough to actually show it to anyone. So we sat on that for about 5 years, didn't we?
That long?
Yeah, we'd written a good couple of episodes, and we were sort of going, well, what do we do now? We've written this, we think it's all right, but what if we show it to someone and they say, oh, don't be silly, that's dreadful.
Get back in your lane.
And we were, and I think that comes from sort of a lot of self-doubt before that point, and just, I suppose, people not believing in us in our lives and not believing in ourselves. And then we found this other person who just kept, I know for me, picks me up, puts me back on my feet and believes in me and constantly is in my corner.
I think Kate's hit on something there. It came from a position of, in the past, you know, a lot of people in our lives didn't necessarily see value in what A, we were doing, and B, we enjoyed. And in terms of writing and the creative side.
Get that proper job.
Yeah, go and get a proper job was always the line that I particularly heard.
Yep.
And to finally come across somebody who had an equal mind and equal thoughts and the same sort of ideas and goals was a welcome change, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the reason we showed it to someone is a slightly ridiculous story, really. We'd gone on a show called Tipping Point, which is a
Another game show.
And the reason I'd wanted to do it, because as a child, I used to go down to where I lived in the UK, to the Folkestone Rotunda, it was called, and you could play the 2p machines, and you'd put the coin in and it would push, and then the next set of coins would fall off. And I loved these machines, and they made a television show, and I said to him, I've got to go on a game show. I'm the person at quiz who only writes the answers, I don't actually know the answers, I just do the writing. So I went on this thing, and it was dreadful, just as expected. And but the producer we met was lovely. Her name was Shannon Rigby, and she met Craig too. And somehow he got talking to her in the waiting room, and she said, "I want you to come back in 2 weeks' time, and you be on the show too." And so he did this. We flew back to Melbourne. We did it again, and then she said to him, they got talking again. And he mentions the celebrant. Now, we haven't talked about that in a couple of years at this point. He just decides to randomly bring it up.
Yeah, it was in no way
Calculated.
ever meant to be, it was no way calculated or meant to be a pitch at all. It was just in conversation.
And she said, would you send it to me? And so we're on the plane going home, and I'm trying to find the positive in the fact that we've done 2 flights to Melbourne, one absolutely nothing, failed miserably at this game show, that she wants us to send the script. And I said, but what if she thinks it's awful? He said, but what if she thinks it's great?
Perfect.
All that self-doubt again.
Yeah. So we send it. She rings us the following day. It's not even been 24 hours. I read this. I haven't laughed this much in such a long time. You have to get this on. I'll be your producer. I'll help you get this up. And then within 6 months, we're on set filming the promo for it.
With the most amazing people around us that we managed to secure.
Which was just,
Again, this was a proof of concept. We totally self-funded it out of our own pocket. And, of course, being self-funded, that was out of our own pocket. But Kate had contacted an amazing director of photography. His name is Gary Phillips. And Gaz shot The Railway Man. He shot shows like Irreverent and Bump and a whole list of things. And
I loved this guy.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of his for a long time. The Railway Man was just one of those films that every time I watch it, it's so emotive. It's beautiful.
it's probably got to do with Colin Firth than anything else.
Well, yeah, but it was the photography.
I think you'd be a Mr. Darcy fan. I
Oh,
really do.
yes. Yes, you're completely right.
So he comes on board just based on the strength of what he's read.
Yes.
Yeah, he rang us at 6 o'clock in the morning and said, I've just read your script and I haven't laughed this much since, well, he said, I can't remember, because COVID had all happened, and he was talking about how, miserable that period had been, and that he'd read this script, and he said, I'm laughing out loud, I'm crying, this is brilliant. I've got 2 weeks of filming Spit with David Wenham, and then I've got 2 weeks in Queensland. If you can make it work in those 2 weeks, I will give you my time. And we were like, well, you mean literally give? Yeah, I'll give it to you. I get to give back every now and again, and this is what I want to do. And we were just
Blown away.
All these right people coming into your life and into your path
It felt
when you almost say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a pattern here also when you talk about you're doing the celebrant work, Kate, and then you're saying to Craig, you'd be great at this. And he says yes, finds that he is. You say, I want to do this game show. And he says yes, and I'm going to be there with you. And then you get approached, you should come on and do this too. And you say yes. And then not long after that, you're talking about this script and someone says, oh, I believe in it. I'd like to do this. And you say yes. So there's a pattern here of saying yes and accepting opportunities as they appear without judgment of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
exactly.
trying not to be scared of them. Because I think in the past, that's why we've said no to things, is because it scares us and we think, but what if we fall? And as my mum used to say, well, you may fly.
Yeah.
And I think it's taken us a while to get to that point where we're less frightened to say yes. And we just go, we know what's the worst that can happen. Really. And we can look back and say, we did that. It was something that meant so much to us, and we did it.
I think it was Dr. Wayne Dyer, that said, and I'm paraphrasing, if I do nothing, no thing happens. If I do something happens. And I try and keep that same language with my kids when they get lost in the rabbit hole of overthinking. And so we'll keep it really simple in terms of how you program your mind. If I do nothing, I should expect no thing.
Yeah.
If I do something, I should expect something to happen. Now, independent of good, bad, or indifferent, something is guaranteed.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And so, isn't it better to be heading toward something?
Exactly. And, we'd always said that after we'd shot it and put it together and, and going through the journey of trying to sell it, we'd always say to ourselves, look, if nothing ever comes of this, at least we can say, we've done this, we've achieved this, which, is possibly a lot more than a lot of other people do who don't say yes.
Absolutely true. And often we don't start saying yes till so late in the journey where we almost want to kick ourselves and go, man, if I was saying yes at 25,
Yeah.
I wonder what might have been.
Yeah. Totally different life.
Yeah, because it's all relative. We know what we know at the time that we know it, and based on the knowledge we have at the time, we make decisions.
I couldn't agree more.
So it's relative. So you do have to cut yourself some slack and think, well, my level of awareness and level of consciousness was that. And based on that, I made these decisions and took these actions. So it's all relative.
Yep.
But let's jump back in time because there's a theme running through each of you when I listen. Where do you think, when you look back, because I know I can almost pinpoint a period where self-doubt crept in and a lack of self-belief in what I might be able to do, just born out of ingesting so much of the negative content of the world around me as a young guy, which informed my truth about me incorrectly, until you get wise enough to realise that noise doesn't have to define you unless you say it does.
Yeah.
What was it like, maybe start with you, Kate, as a young person, when you reflect, because obviously there's a sense of fearlessness now, you both are unified in being fearless and taking chances and rolling the dice and living a healthy, creative life. If you go back in time, do you have a sense of where you may not have initially thought that these things might be possible?
It was quite late, really. As a child, I was very inspired by everybody. I don't think my self-doubt started creeping in until I made a fairly dreadful decision to get married quite early, my first marriage. And then I struggled with a lot of illness. So I had a lot of back problems, a lot of neck problems, and I started to tumble into a bit of a depression, really. We couldn't work out what was wrong with me, and I started to want to do less and less. I really withdrew. I was unhappy in my marriage. And I think I just started feeling like I could see no path in front of me. So for me, it was, sort of in my early 20s. And it lasted a really long time. I wish I could go back.
Yeah, don't we all?
And speak to that 17, 18-year-old girl and say, don't make those decisions. Yours is a creative path. Keep going in that direction. I can almost see the forks in the road where I took the wrong one. And it's taken a really long, windy path to come back to the right path. And, as you get older, I don't know whether it's menopause or just getting older, I think I stopped caring in a positive way about what other people thought of me, what other people thought I should do with my life, how I should live my life. And that helped. And then I met this one, and I could see my path in front of me all of a sudden again. It opened up again. I only wish that it wasn't in my 50s and that it was in my 20s instead, but yes.
But again, all relative, because if that journey hadn't been what that journey is, this second phase of your life and creative journey doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So again, it's all relative.
And maybe you need, I tend to be one of those people who say, well, this dreadful thing happened, but how did that dreadful thing shape other things? And you go, but without that, I wouldn't have known how to write about this, or I wouldn't have known how to help this person because this happened to me. You use it in the theatre, don't you? Something awful's happened to you. I draw on that if I'm playing a role where that's part of her journey. So I do think the past is important. I just wish I could have come to this bit just a wee bit earlier.
But it's interesting when you look at creatives at another level, great comics, great musical artists, sometimes great actors also, there's usually a lot of trauma and drama in their formative years, which informs the motivation and the fire,
Yes.
and also informs the art to be able to write about pain in such a way that you identify with the writing. And go, oh, that speaks to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's speaking to you because this person's
Felt it.
felt
They've
it.
lived it.
They've lived it, and they can articulate it now through their craft. So,
Yeah, and I think Robin Williams comes to mind immediately. You know, on the face of it, he was this wild and wacky and crazy guy, just full of so much energy and creativity. But if you delve deeper into it, he was troubled for a long, long time, and that obviously had dictated a lot of what he had developed, through his comedy and so forth. But yeah, it's very sad that someone has to go through so much crap to find the positive.
yeah. You can't avoid trauma
No.
if you live long enough,
Yeah.
but you can determine how you
How
respond
you
to
respond to it. Yeah.
it. What was your journey like as a younger man in terms of a good sense of self and, winning the AACTA together is no small achievement. Creating content like you've been doing is no small thing. Bringing a lot of other creatives together to do that is no small thing. It takes a certain amount of belief and confidence. Was that always there from the beginning for you as a younger man?
No, not at all. In fact, I have often told Kate that she saved me.
Wow.
Meeting her, she saved me because I was. It's difficult without going into a lot of personal detail, but I went through a difficult time at school. I was bullied throughout basically 12 years of school, primary school and high school. Terrible bullying on a mental level and a physical level, and that sort of in your formative years that dictates who you become. And I think Kate would probably attest to this. I was, how can I put this without revealing too much, I guess? I was broken.
Lost.
I was lost. I didn't have any confidence in my abilities because I'd always been told by other people, by teachers in particular at primary school, and honestly, teachers can mess you up in such a way.
I hear you.
I remember one particular teacher. She was just a horrid woman. She really reminded me of the Wicked Witch. She would often say to me that I would never amount to anything. And, if something else was going on in class, she would point to me and accuse me of starting it. And, I'd be just sitting there. I lost myself in a world that I had created, a world of... Actually, I can tell you, for me, a lot of this started Star Wars.
Yeah.
For a young man, that is a defining moment. And
Isn't
as an 8-year-old boy, when Star Wars came out, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I saw something that I could attach myself to. And I lost myself in a world of science fiction, of fantasy, of creating these stories and images. Basically, as soon as I could pick up a pen, I was drawing. So I would constantly draw. At school, I would draw. I would write. We had creative writing at school. And I had a couple of teachers that would say, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. They're children's stories. They're rubbish. They don't mean anything. But, I had other teachers telling me that you're not going to amount to anything. Put away that rubbish. And that just delved me deeper and deeper into my own world and my own thoughts. And all throughout primary school and high school, I would just be immersed in my own imagination. I would draw things, I would create spaceships and worlds, and I would write all of these stories about all these amazing worlds. And then as an adult, suddenly you've got responsibilities. And I believe that as an adult, your creativity naturally gets suppressed because of those responsibilities. Suddenly you've got a job. Suddenly you've got bills you have to pay. Suddenly you've got a family. Suddenly you've got kids that you've got to feed. You've got a house, a roof over your head that you've got to maintain, and a mortgage. And as you get older, all of these things take over in your life, and your creative side gets pushed away. So for me, my life then became about all of these responsibilities, and I wanted to get back into that creative side. So I decided I'd go to film school, and I was probably late doing that. I was 27 at the time, and I decided I'd go back to film school. That allowed me to start writing again, which I hadn't done for a long time. But through all of those experiences before that, and again, without revealing too much personally, I was having people in my life at the time saying similar things that, get a real job and all that sort of stuff. But that allowed me to start writing again. And I sort of, after film school, I wanted to be Australia's next Bruce Beresford. I thought I was, but it never happened because I was told to get a real job. So I slid sideways into corporate video for the next 25 years or so.
Right.
And the writing changed to more corporate level. But the damage had already been done. There were so many people in my life who told me that, no, you can't do this.
Yeah.
You can't be a creative because creatives don't earn money. There's not a real job. There's nothing exciting about what you're doing. And it really wasn't until I met Kate that she allowed me to explore those things once more. And she brought a lot of that back out in me. And that's why I say that she saved me.
Yeah. It's very powerful. Now, thank you for sharing and being so honest and vulnerable. I think there's a lot of people listening, myself included, who can identify with much of that. And it's funny when you're a kid too. Words are like arrows, aren't they?
Yeah.
They just sit in you.
Yeah.
And you're not able to discern between observing some behaviour or observing language. You're just in absorption all the time, just taking it in. And if only you realise, like you were saying earlier, worrying about what people think, when you suddenly realise that people aren't thinking of you as much as you think they're thinking about you because they're caught up in themselves, you wouldn't care so much about what you imagine they're thinking about you in the first place.
As soon as you put that down, it's incredibly powerful.
Liberating.
Liberating.
Because
that's the perfect
you escape your own mind cage.
Yeah.
And when you
And it is,
realise you're also the key keeper.
Yeah.
You're actually the person who creates it.
Absolutely.
No matter what's gone on in your life, you are creating your path. Whether, you're taking on board things that people have said or whatever, you are still creating it. I think we've just got better at going, actually, we're going to create the path we want to walk.
I think there's a co-creation thing there too. Call it God, call it the universe, call it the universal flow, however you want to call it. I think when you start to collaborate with intention, the world, the universe has a way of recognising that. Your stories here in the last 20 minutes support that. You say yes to this, suddenly someone is here.
Yeah.
The gentleman, the cinematographer from The Railway Man, picks up the phone. Cost neutral, I want to be part of this. So there's almost like this cause and effect piece, like a science almost in the ether, that in order for things to change, you also have to change and participate in the change.
Yes.
Or no thing happens.
Yes.
But it's almost like the universe is saying, here and waiting, if only you would start.
Yep.
And put the other stuff down and let it now go into the past and say, what does our future look like?
There you go.
That was a powerful moment for us. But it did take that first 5 or 6 years for us to get to that point where we sort of healed each other and healed ourselves too. A lot of work on ourselves and
a lot of work on ourselves, and we're also finding each other in a new relationship and working out who each other was.
But it helps that we like to spend 24/7 together.
We do.
That really helps with your collaborating. I mean, we have our moments.
Yeah, of course.
But not too many of them, really.
Not too many of them. No, we work together. We play together. We
go to quiz night together.
Yeah. Funnily enough, we don't
we're not
actually.
Together, we're not very.
Yeah,
not
we
very
don't actually
happy.
like not being together.
Yeah.
If Kate's got to go off and do something and I'm not there, I feel like I've had a leg cut off. We pine. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a great love story, forgetting everything else. You've talked a lot about, just a moment ago there, about it's almost like this relationship has helped heal and elevate each of you. Creatively, with that discipline of writing, producing, directing, how do you manage that together? Is that a pretty seamless kind of thing now? Is it intuitive? Do you have to think about it?
No, not really, because we have very different strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Craig is very structured and still incredibly creative, but he's quite structured with his writing and he's quite structured with the way that he does things. I'm a bit airy-fairy and very creative and just decides to do things. Like, we'll get up in the morning and it's like, we're going to do this today. And he's the more calming, let's plan this out. So between the two of us, I think we find a really nice balance because we both have our own lanes, but the lanes cross constantly.
Well said.
So on a set, he will be the person who's very technical. He knows what shots he wants to see, whereas I'm the person on set who wants to deal with the actors and tell them what we want from them. Yeah. So we've managed to find our own lanes, but not through talking about it, by doing it. We sort of realised, oh, that's more your thing and this is more my thing. And it works well in directing, it works well in writing. I tend to be more the producer. That's not something you really enjoy, is it?
No, I don't particularly like the phone.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So but I love that stuff. I love organising. I love, what can I make possible? And I get terribly excited about it. The other week for the new show, we booked a deep sea fishing trip. And I came bounding out of the office. I've done it! I found a boat that we can go on and we can take them deep sea fishing for this segment of the show. And I was so thrilled with myself, but needed to share it with him.
Yeah.
It's not real until I've shared it with him. Mm-hmm. So you're very collaborative.
You talked before about when you went back to Star Wars, and that did reset a lot of brains around the world. It opens up possibilities when you see someone creatively create a space where there's new possibilities. It kind of raises the tide. And you do find a place to kind of escape into.
Yeah.
What's your hope with the work that you create? Have you had immediate feedback from people that have experienced the work where they've equally been inspired, excited, or it's had someone else think, there's possibilities here because you guys are doing it too? Do you find any of that?
Well, what we've loved about this latest one is that we intentionally brought a team on board that was much younger than us. So our DP is only 27. We said to him, who do you want to work with? And he was like, oh, okay. Well, I'd love to bring these people on board who were the same ages. Our daughter, Charlotte, came on as our first AD. And it was lovely to be able to bring younger people in. We spoke to Bond as well. We brought a couple of Bond students in because what we've realised as we're going along, if only people had given us chances when we were younger to just come on set and experience it, it might have changed our paths too. So that's been a really important thing for us, hasn't it? Really getting involved with different age groups, different people, different abilities, and sharing the journey with other people.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. When we talk about these themes of resilience, intention, self-love and personal evolution, if we can dig into that space for just a moment, I call these kind of the final four questions that we go through to kind of tie it all together. How did you initially find resilience? Might start with you, Craig. How did you initially discover the importance of resilience in your life? How do you maintain it?
I think resilience, it comes from learning that setbacks are just part of the process. And don't see them as losses, see them as small gains. Reverse the psychology on it. You've just got to keep taking one step at a time, and you've just got to lean into that. And you treat each setback as a lesson. Okay, well, what's occurred there, and why has that occurred? And perhaps I get too analytical on that. Maybe Kate's more instinct on that sort of thing. I tend to get too analytical on things. Probably much to our detriment. But if you see those things as lessons and you try and learn from them, then you can overcome that. And, resilience.
We had a really good example. Sorry to interrupt you. A good example of this over the last few weeks. About 8 weeks ago, we were going to the ophthalmologist for what we thought was just a quick checkup for Craig. He got some floaters and it was no big deal. Within an hour, we're facing emergency surgery. He's detached both his retinas and we're on the way to the hospital. This is 8 weeks out from Brains on Tap going to production.
Wow.
I'm pulling my hair out and within 2 weeks, he's completely blind, has lost his sight in both eyes.
Wow.
So in one fell swoop, we've lost our director, our editor, my partner, and I'm thinking, I can't do this by myself. How on earth do we now get this we've got the venue booked, I've got the team booked, we've paid for everything. And we spent 2 days we closed the door to the world and went, what do we do? he can't see a thing. I'm leading him round everywhere. It
Oh,
was
man, that must have been
absolutely
terrifying.
He couldn't find his shoes. He couldn't go to the toilet. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
awful. But what happened was, and I think this is what resilience is all about, we found a different way. It became me talking everything out loud and saying, right, this is what I'm doing today and this is what I need from you. And instead of him being able to see the screen or being able to see, we were talking through everything, and slowly by slowly, over the couple of days that followed, we started to work out how to do it.
Kate became my eyes for so many things. Didn't
But I think it is looking at setbacks as a learning, either a learning experience or changing them completely and saying, well, that happened for a reason.
or a challenge.
Or maybe it's challenging you in some way. Let's keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I think we've certainly learnt a lot about resilience over the last
Yeah, absolutely.
little while.
And that surgery obviously has been successful, and we're sitting here now. It's
1 3/4 eyes.
1 3/4. Yeah. So had surgery on both eyes, and as part of that, they inject a gas bubble into your eye. So that's a weird thing. That's like looking through, almost
Marbles.
looking through a magnifier. You know, I had one eye was healing, the other one still had a gas bubble. It would set off your depth perception. It was,
I mean,
it
you
was
got
funny
your
in so many ways. It was. I'm sure Kate would set an obstacle course around the house just for her amusement.
no, not at all. Just move the chair slightly.
now there's a show.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's funny you say that, because that's how we look at many things that occur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We say,
Maybe it's a
okay,
show.
let's turn that around. Let's see the humour in it, and that would make a great show.
Yes.
But no, I'm happy to say that after the surgery, my right eye is now back to normal. My
Got
left
it
one
back
is
The day before the shoot.
day before the shoot.
Wow.
My left one's probably at the moment about 70%. So
Yeah. it's
Enough
good.
to edit. So
enough to edit. Yeah, I'm just going to edit 1 3/4 of the program.
See, perfect.
Yep.
I think it was I quote him a lot because he had a big, profound impact on me. Many years ago, as a younger man, Dr. Wayne Dyer talking about the idea of when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
yes,
And that whole simple
so
idea
true.
Yep.
of perspective shifting.
Yep.
And if you can remember to be able to do that, so much of life becomes easier to navigate
Yep.
rather than a
does.
fixed judgment
Yep.
perspective.
Yep.
And you also bounce back quicker.
Yes.
Since we've changed our mindset to exactly that. When something does happen, yes, it knocks you down, and yes, you get sad, and you spend that maybe 24, 48, maybe a week going, oh, how do I deal with this? And then you go, no, I'm going to pick myself back up again, put myself on my feet, and we'll either turn it into a show or we'll keep walking forward.
Exactly.
I don't remember who it was, but some years ago I heard a fellow on a podcast. He might have been an ex-Navy SEAL, and he talked about this attitude that he had when he met adversity. His default thought was, great, here we go. It wasn't, oh my God, I'm done.
Yeah.
He had a mindset of, with any drama, medical, relationship, work-based, it was great.
Yep.
Here we go. There's a lesson in here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't diluting the power of the problem.
Yep.
It was determining the attitude to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, oh, good. Well, somewhere in this
There's
drama,
Something for me.
I'm going to come through the other end of that.
Yep.
And somewhere, somehow, some way, I will be better for it. I just don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here we go.
Yeah.
And that
That's
was
a great way of looking at
that
it.
was his little tool, was rather than, oh shit. It was,
It's easy
oh
to do.
great.
Right.
Here we go.
Here we go. Yep.
What are
What's
we,
this journey going to be?
what's on the other side of this?
Yeah.
Because it's only going to build me if I make that the mission. Intentionality. Maybe we start with you, Kate. What does that mean to you, and why do you think it's important?
I think it's important because for us, we intentionally have started making choices. Instead of letting life just sort of happen, over the last few years, we've started saying, let's actually make things happen for us by being more intentional with our choices and our decisions, and not getting so down when something goes wrong. Turning it on its head and saying, well, what's the positive in that? So I think that's where we've definitely started living our lives with more intention over these last couple of years,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's about choosing projects that matter to us,
and that
as
speak
well.
to you.
that speak to us. Yeah. Yeah. I had a new career path planned out as doing narrating audiobooks just in case my vision never came back.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that one. That's a great idea.
It's a great idea.
You'd be great at that. Let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
I just put on the radio voice.
Craig, I hear you, and I'm really enjoying your work so far. When we move from intentionality into this idea of self-love, that's a big one. And, for the longest time, I never really understood what that meant. I think my idea of it as a younger man was more based in ego love. This idea of the self beyond the ego was a foreign thing.
Yeah.
Until life had a way of stripping
It does to us.
that artifice off you. And then you have to go beyond the idea of what you think you are and what you're projecting and discover the who you are beyond the artifice. What does self-love look like? Maybe we start with you, Craig. What does self-love look like for you now? And what has been your journey tuning into it?
Oh, that's been a really long journey. And I owe everything to Kate. And I'll just reiterate that again. Kate saved me.
It's powerful.
Self-love is it's something that everybody suffers with.
Yeah.
I think you are born into this world, obviously having to face challenges, and I think that's part of the journey, is overcoming the challenges, and part of that is knowing who you are and liking who you are.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you talked about self-love versus ego. For so many people, and us included, ego just gets in the way at times. Times where we do have disagreements over a thing, and that's not often. It's because of ego, and it's because of that sense of, well, I'm right. I know I'm right. I have to be right. And it's about putting that aside and saying, okay, well, let's just stop that and listen.
Yeah.
Listen to your own inner voice, the good inner voice, not the bad inner voice.
Yes, that's good.
And allowing the other person to have their views, seeing their value, and that, I think that helps you with self-love, because once you're open to seeing the value in someone else, you can start seeing the value in yourself.
But I have to say, it's still something that is definitely a work in progress. I think we're both honest on the self-love front. I think it's a difficult one. And it's something we've battled for a really long time, and we're still learning it.
Still learning, yep.
And I think we remind each other, hey, why don't you go take some time for yourself? Go sit outside, let's go for a walk. The simple stuff. But I don't think it's something that either of us is naturally good at.
I don't think it's something naturally most people are good at. And it's,
No.
I think, as you mentioned, we're kind of brought into this world to have to try and discover it.
Yeah.
And we tend to absorb so much and layer so much within us that we kind of suffocate the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you've got to transcend those layers and get beyond the hurt, the pride and everything else and find it. That's why I'm curious to ask the question, because I think it's a universal thing. Like you'd said, people wrestle with that idea of getting comfortable with the person in the mirror, free of judgment, but with complete acceptance.
And I hope it's something we've managed to teach our children, but often I look at them and I think I haven't done a good enough job on this front. I can still see you looking in the mirror with self-doubt, and then I remember it's a personal journey, and and you can only do so much.
And it's an ongoing thing for the rest of your days.
It is.
It isn't a magic pill.
Yeah.
And then one day,
I've conquered that one.
Oh my God, I'm so full of self-love and awareness and confidence.
Yeah.
I'm unbeatable. We're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
And we're hardwired that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you accept that rather than judge it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can forgive yourself, cut yourself a little slack,
Yeah.
and realize with your kids, really your job is to, I think, plant good seeds.
Yes. Yes.
Because you can't get in there and
Do it for them.
and do the work as much as you might want to. But you can and you should plant good seeds.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. And that revelation, once it hits you, it's got to come in many different ways for different people.
Yeah.
Some people have to go through a really hard journey in order to get there, and some people have a much easier time of it.
I had this chat just recently with someone that there's, particularly for young people, there's two ways to learn. You can listen to the advice of the older or what the person that's experienced and they've had the lived experience, and you can listen to that and apply, or you can ignore and you may have to suffer to learn it. But either way, the world will have a way of trying to get to you to teach you the lesson.
Yep.
Yes.
You can either go through active listening
Yep.
and application
Yep.
or resistance and pride.
Yep.
And life will still find a way of, perhaps with more intent,
Smacking
you to the ground to go, have I got your attention yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you see that so much of this is about your choices and your behaviour,
Yeah.
not so much about everybody else,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a lie that you've had to distract you from
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah.
And ego, again, it's about getting ego out of the way.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dr. Wayne Dyer, again, used to say ego is the acronym for edging God out.
Yeah.
Again, you can define
a-
God as you see fit,
yeah.
but this idea that you're pushing away grace and empathy and introspection and reflection and accountability, because ego is seductive because it requires so little work
Yeah.
to tune it up. That's why most of us will come from it, because it's like a sugar diet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can come from ego all day long and never be accountable or responsible for the things I say or do. That's all on you.
Yep.
But eventually you have to
empty.
face.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this on the weekend. A friend of mine, that he only just recently come to understand this line as he goes into his 60s. Wherever you go, there you are. And we were talking about that line. He said, it took me to my 60s to really understand that. Up until
Wherever you
recently,
go,
it was like,
that's great.
what does that even mean? Whereas now he goes, I know exactly what that means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wherever I go, there I am.
Yeah.
So there's no escaping that.
No.
So,
Right.
And right now I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's all relative.
Yeah.
But it's getting comfortable with that person in the mirror. As we come to the end of things, and thank you both for being so honest. When we talk about personal evolution, you've both had that individually, and it seems like you've both, as you've said a few times, Craig, you've both done that. It's been accelerated through your relationship. How do you see personal evolution, and why do you think that's important? Because you both clearly embody this evolving
Respecting
journey.
each other's ideas.
Yeah.
Learning from each other. We're always very open at home. When we first started sharing our writings, it was terrifying. And even now, if I've had a new idea and I've cheekily written a bit, I'll come to him, and he is the most... It's scary, not because he's scary, but when I have to show him some of my writing, it matters more than anyone else in the world. And I sit and I think, and I can see him sitting there reading it, and I'm tapping my fingers, and palms of my hands are getting sweaty, and I'm thinking, will he like it? And then that first laugh, and I think, oh, thank goodness for that. Yeah. But it's respecting each other's writing. It's building each other up, never tearing each other down. That's how we're evolving. We're just...
Yeah. If one of us brings an idea to the table, then we never shut it down.
Let's explore it.
Let's
the
explore
first thing. Let's put it on the table, and or actually on the great big whiteboards.
Yeah.
And just write it all down.
Yeah, let's play with it. Let's see where it goes. Let's see if there's anything in it.
So there's that
Stay
union.
curious.
Yeah, that's a great line.
Curious.
There's that union for both of you evolving together as one. If you, Kate, were to talk about, you said before, if I could go back in time to talk to that young girl, when you look back at the journey of that young girl and kind of detach a little bit and look at that path and look at that evolution of that young girl, how does that feel for you, and what do you see?
Well, funnily, I probably, as traumatic as some of it was, I probably wouldn't change any of it now, because without the things that have happened to me, I wouldn't have the knowledge to write what I'm writing and feel the things I'm feeling. And I think it's probably made me stronger and more capable than it would have done if I'd had a really breezy, easy life. Now I look back and I think, well, all right, that was hard, and you were pretty miserable during this, or you were sick, and now I think, but that gave you what you needed to be able to write these stories and really immerse yourself in them. And the same as his trauma, put our trauma together and our good stuff as well, because there's been lots of good stuff. You've suddenly got this wealth of knowledge and feelings and emotions and
ideas,
empathy and ideas and creativity. So
there's room to explore there, isn't there?
It was my life, and that's okay.
So well said. Craig, similar question to you then when you look back.
I don't think I can add anything more to that.
Yeah.
Kate's nailed it. You are a product of who you are. I mean, it's that line, wherever I go, there I am. You are a product of who you are and all of your experiences, whether good or bad. And it's a matter of taking those experiences and putting a positive spin on them and say, well, okay, what can I see out of this? What is the positive thing that comes out of this? And we use that in our writing. You know, we use our personal experiences, and as I said, both good and bad. And for me, you know, as I talked about earlier about, you know, immersing myself as a child in worlds like science fiction and fantasy, that enables you to create worlds and stories that you've never had anything to do with. You know, just because you're not a policeman doesn't mean you can't write a police drama, or just because, you know, you're not digging for gold doesn't mean you can't write a story about finding gold. And it's a matter of, I think you take those experiences and you find the gold wherever you can.
That's a beautiful line and a great line to stick the landing on.
Yep.
I want to thank you both for sitting with me for this episode of the R.I.S.E podcast. It's been a terrific conversation filled with riches that I'm sure people can mine through, Craig, and take things away from. So thank you both. Continued success and happiness for everything that's still ahead.
Thank you
you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you.